week 18 of the fantasy basketball season, and here's a few centers I will look to drop this week. The first guy is Xavier Tillman of the Memphis Grizzlies. So Tillman, he was a big guy in fantasy the last couple weeks here with Jonas Valanciunas, who went down with a little bit of an injury, but now he's returned to the bench role, and he don't really have much fantasy value. Is Tillman? He's been dropped in 9% of fantasy leagues on the season. He's ranked 207, 6.8 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 66% from the foul line, and 55% from the field. So his numbers in the last 2 weeks before he went back to the bench was pretty good. 11 points a game, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 66% from the foul line, and 66% from the field for Tillman. So he was productive. But now with him not playing 30 to 35 minutes a game, the numbers have dropped over the last 3 ball games for him. April 21st at the Clippers, 8 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. April 23rd at Portland, 12 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and a block. April 25th at Portland, 2 points, 4 rebounds, and a block. And then last night at Denver, he just didn't play at all, was Tillman. So now with Valanciunas back from the concussion, he's a guy you easily could get away from, and fantasy owners already have. And this week, he's the first drop at the center position. The next center is Serge Ibaka of the Los Angeles Clippers. So he's been on the list a few times this season. And the last few weeks is Ibaka. He hasn't appeared in an NBA game since March 14th, so that's a long time ago. And now with the back injury, he's been practicing 4-on-4 work. But even if he does come back, I don't think he'll be playing big minutes. And I don't even think he'll be that productive. Zubac has been playing so good the last few weeks. I don't even think the Clippers have really missed Ibaka that much, even though he's a player that definitely can help them in their rotation or starting lineup once the playoffs hit. But as far as the regular season, I think they're going to bench him the rest of the way and get him healthy for the playoffs with only 10 games left in the regular season. So on the season, he was ranked 139 with 11 points a game, 6.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists a game, 1.2 blocks, a 3 a game, 82% from the foul line, and 50% from the field. So the numbers, they were just mediocre for him. And obviously with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on his team, the scoring was going to go down and the rebounding for Ibaka, and he should be a player dropped in more leagues if you're still in the hunt here with him on your roster, even if you had him in an injured list spot. I don't think he's worth the stash in the third and final center. I would look to drop this week's Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers. So Miles Turner, the injury bug caught up to him, and the MRI revealed a partial tear in his toe. So he's going to be out for pretty much the rest of the season, and he's a player I wouldn't stash either here with no timetable for his return. So on the season, he was ranked 35th, but I think it's a little bit of a baloney ranking, if you ask me, for the season, because he had 3.4 blocks a game, which really made Turner look good this year. So 12.6 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 1 assist, a steal a game, 3.4 blocks, 1.5 threes, 78% from the foul line, and 47% from the field. So Turner had a pretty good, decent fantasy season, given only 6 or 7 categories. But obviously, I think he was just a little bit overrated in his ranking this season at fantasy basketball. And he's a player next season I'll probably look to target in maybe the 6th or 7th round. But right now, he's still owned in 79% of fantasy leagues. And he's not worth the IR roster stash. And he's a player that should be dropped in more than 3% of leagues like he has so far this week. So that's a few centers I would look to drop here in Week 18 of the fantasy basketball season.